Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Health Minister says spouses of 2 Nigerians killed by Ebola are on admission for full-blown infection. Boat capsizes near Kafanchan village in Kaduna State, 7 people killed. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo and Governor Ibikunle Amosun pick up their national identity cards. And the United States identifies the IS group as the biggest threat to America. A quick reminder to you now that all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. And do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. And we urge you to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions. Now, there's been flooding in the Kafanchan area of Kaduna State, leading to massive destruction in the area. Our next report takes a look at the efforts to rebuild the community.
Residents of Angwari Yelwa, a suburb in the southern part of Kaduna State capital, woke up on Friday morning to find out that their compound has been taken over by floods. These angry women, children and youths are protesting what they call the state government's failure to repair the bridge before it finally collapsed following the heavy rainfall that submerged their homes. The flood also killed a young girl while she was asleep. Her parents were said to have gone for a vigil when the incident occurred.
It has taken over 2 weeks to 3 weeks now that the bridge collapsed. And when it collapsed, the water that passed down came from Angwanson, the Sabo ore that passes under the bridge. There's nowhere for the water to pass again. So the water now returns back to the community here and overflowed everybody here, all the houses here. Unfortunately, day before yesterday, the rain that fell day before yesterday, we lost a life here day before yesterday.
The flood began to wreak havoc when the water channel that allows for easy flow of water between Angwa Barde and Yelwa communities was blocked.
This is not a waterway. This place is not a waterway. It is the aftermath of what happened that is bringing water to this side. It is not a waterway. The main waterway is under, but it collapsed and blocked the waterway. So the water must find its way, and that is why the water is going to this side. So are they saying we should leave the village, the community?
Yes. We need solution because flood is killing our children and spoiling our houses. We want government to help us. We need their help, seriously. We are in danger. Our house is falling down. The road is not good. The roads are slab. We don't need it again. We need new one.
Although the affected bridge is located along a federal road, the Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Ishaku Makama, said the State Ministry of Works is already aware of the incident and will immediately mobilize its officials to repair the damaged bridge and drainage system to prevent further flooding.
The Nigeria Air Force today laid to rest one of its pilots who died in a crash during a training mission in Bama, Borno State, northeast Nigeria. At the burial, the Minister of State for Defense, Musiliu Obanikoro, said the ultimate sacrifice paid by Flight Lieutenant Akweke Nwakile should not just serve as a call to duty to members of the armed forces, but to all Nigerians. The minister promised that the government will continue to work to put an end to insecurity in the country. Present at the military cemetery in Abuja for the burial were the family members of the late officer and other military personnel. The late Air Force officer was a member of the Joint Task Force operation in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Well, back here in Lagos, residents of Cole Street in Ebute Metta, who were on Monday night startled by a sudden fire that ravaged their community, are still reeling with shock. Our correspondent Chris Elems, who visited the scene of the incident, reports that many of the victims are now hoping that the government will keep its promise of not displacing them.
It's a very messy situation here at Coast Street, where residents were visited by fire on Monday night, destroying property worth millions of naira and displacing over 5,000 people. Right now, as you can see, people with long faces trying to pick the bits and pieces left of what they had. What happened here has shattered the balance of this community. Everything seems to have shifted towards despair, as can be seen on the faces of the residents. Since the incident that stole their beddings and the roof over their heads, they've resorted to sleeping anywhere they find.
We are sleeping, we put man on the floor. We are using tampoli to cover ourselves with nylon. Some they are sleeping under the sawmill, some inside the Tanyoroko bus, some inside Maruwa.
The men are trying to put up the structure for their wives, which for now would have sawdust as beddings. While the children go about gathering rusty nails to be sold so they can feed. The massive inferno also took its toll on machineries, a situation that has left businesses crippled.
We didn't expect it, so it just caught me unaware. Well, I can even move out some things here. It's just simply because of I'm living around. And by the time we got here, my generator have already got burned. So we cannot even, and the thing is too heavy for us to move. So that's why I lost almost everything here. So I don't even know how to start now.
Some of the residents still cannot fathom what hit them, while others have moved on. But looking at the extent of damage done here, one cannot but wonder whatever happened to rapid response from the firefighters. We paid a visit to the fire station that responded to the distress call the night the outbreak occurred for a chat with the senior superintendent.
Immediately we received a distress call. We activated our men and they turned out to the scene of call. On getting there, the nature and the terrain of that place, cars were parked, double parking on the way. To get access to the scene of call was the initial problem that my men had. When they get to work, the area boys could not give them chance to operate. Altogether, we have 5 fire engines at that scene of call. And the nature of fire, we're able to tackle that fire. But these are free burning materials. They burn without reservation.
The situation of this place is one of sadness, losses, despair. While the residents have decided to rebuild their lives from the scratch, they are also hopeful that the governor's visit here will grant them the necessary attention that will aid the rebuilding process. Chris Lems for Channels Television.
It's been 130 days since the abduction of over 200 schoolgirls by the Boko Haram terrorist group in Chibok, Borno State, northeast Nigeria. And the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners today in Abuja said the silence over the abduction of the girls is worrying. Our correspondent Gloria Humezoke reports.
It's a different setup here as Nigeria marks 130 days since the Chibok schoolgirls were kidnapped in the northeast. Now, while the action sparked international outrage and support, the girls are no closer to home than they were 130 days ago.
Without our daughters, we would not stop until our daughters.
In 5 years of attacks by the Boko Haram sect, no crime could ignite more anger and anguish by Nigerians and the international community like the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls for over 5 months now.
Clearly, what is going on is that a lot of people are trying to move on in life. without the Chibok girls because they are not their daughters.
For the campaigners, several meetings and assurances by the government with nothing concrete about the girls' condition still leaves a lot to be desired.
Of course, since the campaign started, so much discussion has been going on, and we have to give credence to the fact that not just our federal government, but the international community has seen this issue as not a Nigerian or an African issue, but a global issue. So discussions are going on all around the world, and we are saying that we appreciate those discussions and we want those discussions to continue.
The group also questions the methodology of the government's operation as families and communities continue to suffer deep anguish as they seek effective rescue of the girls.
Every 10 days, the Bring Back Our Girls campaign will continue in this fashion because so far they say they are unsatisfied with the conversation from the government. And so they will be engaging more and more critical stakeholders in this fight to bring back the girls alive. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and the Ogun State governor, Ibikunle Amosun, have obtained their national identity cards showing a clear example of citizens' responsibility. Both men today registered at different locations at the state capital, Abeokuta. The former president says the exercise would give the government at all levels a basis to plan for growth and development.
Over 30 years, government after government in the country have not produced the much-needed comprehensive and unified national identity card. But now, the process seems to be making progress.
So this one has a chip and it has intelligence in it. It has a public key infrastructure in it. It also has a payment platform in it. So this is the only card in the whole world that has these systems combined.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, in whose regime the exercise began in 1979, commends the efforts put into the whole idea. He was quick to ask for additional features in the system.
I hope that as time goes on, we will even be able to include blood group of each individual, so that if anybody has an accident and he needs blood transfusion from his identity card, you will know what blood group he is and what type of blood you require.
At his own registration point, the Ogun State governor is optimistic the exercise will allow for adequate planning by governments.
To do a lot of things, to execute many of even our programs, our policies for Nigerians. Look, if we know that the ages of those from 16 to probably 25, I don't know how it is categorized, we will be able to plan for them. We will know that, our working age, our youth, maybe from 16 to 35, I don't know. They will know that, these are their numbers, so we can plan for them.
The exercise is expected to be launched by President Goodluck Jonathan in Abuja next week. It behoves on all Nigerians to get registered and have their identities known.
Well, the Ogun State governor also took out time to tour some project sites in the state capital. Inspecting one of the housing projects, the governor gave the assurance that there are more plans to achieve the state government's urban renewal initiative.
Driving himself into Orange Valley Estate, Okemoson, Abeokuta, Governor Ibikunle Amosun, accompanied by aides, makes an unscheduled visit to inspect the 140 units of houses in the estate under construction.
Into the valley, looking into the swimming pool.
Orange Valley Estate is a medium-income housing estate of different categories embarked upon by Governor Amosun's administration in different parts of the state. Responding to questions from Channels Television, the governor said the project is aimed at accommodating all sectors of civil and public service with standard that will stand the test of time.
We are going to do 1,000 of course, for the civil and public service. Indeed, when we finish, we are looking at, we want for the teachers, we want for the doctors, for the lawyers, everybody who's being taken care of. As we are doing here in Agbara, we are replicating the same thing in Shagamu, in Ijebu, in all our major cities. In the past, the idea is to just do anything for the civil servant, that don't worry, they are the civil servant. For us in Ogun State, there's what we call Ogun Standard.
The medium-income Orange Valley estate is open to people who can afford outright purchase of the houses, unlike others aimed for low-income earners. With billions of naira spent on housing projects, one of his 5 points agenda, the state government aims at completing all housing projects by the first quarter of 2015.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigerian breweries holds national art competition. Please join us again.